Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
Here's the latest this morning. Auto earnings reflecting some big challenges for the industry, with Ford and Stellantis delivering disappointing results. Stellantis opting to bring back old models and weighing price cuts after a massive drop in sales during the first half of the year. Joining us now to discuss, the Stellantis CEO, Carlos Tavares. Carlos, great to catch up with you, sir. Difficult morning for the stock. We're down about 8%. You know that. I want to talk about some of the brands. I'm not sure how many people recognize or realize how big this company is. So just give me a couple of seconds to go through this. At the premium end, you've got the luxury brand like Maserati. Then you've got Alfa Romeo, Lancia. You've got Jeep, which of course is well known here in the United States. Chrysler, Dodge, Ram. Over in Europe, Citroën, Fiat, Opel, Peugeot. Abarth, which of course Abarth is part of the Fiat business. This goes on and on and on. And I'm trying to work out this morning, Carlos, whether you're committed to all of that lineup, those brands, or whether some of them could be cut and spun off.
Well, there is, first of all, you are right to say that the automakers are under pressure. The auto industry is in a turmoil, and as you are looking at the results, everybody is going in the same direction. And for the time being, as much as I am aware of, we are the only guy in town with a double-digit AOI margin. But you are right, we are under pressure. And to your question about the brands, there is no taboo. There is absolutely no taboo. The brands are intangible assets that we respect. We believe that they are here to be leveraged. We could celebrate this year the 125th anniversary of Fiat and Opel, which demonstrates that the brands are stronger than the legal entities, stronger than the political regimes, and they can cross wars, survive, and get better. So we do respect the brands. We respect the fan bases of the brands, but there is no taboo. If they are not able to monetize the value that they represent, then decisions will come. For the time being, all of our brands, with no exception, are profitable. It is not by chance that we are a 10% AOI margin car company, the only one to be double digits so far. It is just because our brands are great. Our products are very appealing, and I will just use the example of our Ram pickup trucks, where we were again number one in the GD Power quality survey, which means that our customers appreciate what our creative people are bringing to the market. Now, it is true that the market is in a turmoil. It is true that the transition that we are going through is immensely challenging, and this is a bump. There will be other bumps. This will last for a few years. This is not a short-term turmoil. And the most resilient, the most focused, the most customer-focused will survive, of course. And that also means, because that's what I'm hearing, that cost reduction is not becoming a taboo anymore. As you know, we have been working hard on cost reduction for many years. We have not been so popular, but now everybody recognizes that the customers want affordability. The customers want a safe, clean, and affordable mobility. So that's my comment to your great question. Thank you.
There's one question about cutting the cost of the vehicle. There's another question about cutting costs internally to offset some of the increased expenses. Shipments in North America fell 18% in the last quarter, and I'm just wondering whether some deeper cost cutting, to John's point, is required to sort of bring that up to speed at a time where the EV transition isn't happening as quickly as people had planned for.
Exactly. And what you are saying, you say is not happening as quickly as the people had planned for. I would like, with all the respect, to correct that. It is not happening as quickly as the political leadership had expected. What we are seeing in the Western world right now is that the consumers are not supporting as much as the political leadership was expecting the EV ramp-up. And the consumers, they are very clear in what they expect from us. They expect safe, clean, and affordable mobility. And safe and clean they are, affordable is the challenge. So they want basically to buy EV cars at the price of internal combustion engine cars. They don't want to pay more for the EV technology, which I can totally understand. And I want to tell them that we are working super hard to achieve that. And we already have evidence that we are succeeding because we started to launch our first B segment EV cars from 20,000 euros, a little bit more than $20,000. And we will bring to the US market in a couple of years a Jeep model below $25,000. So yes, we hear what they say, and we are working super hard to deliver that. And indeed, the political leadership through the regulations thought that the consumers were able and willing to pay a higher price for EVs. And they are telling us, the consumers, that they don't agree with that. And we are in the middle. We are the fuse between the consumers and the regulators. We are trying to fix it. And of course, it's difficult.
Carlos,
it's painful.
In January, you said you were going to hold off on some of your investment in the United States because you wanted to see how the election played out. But are you basically saying now it doesn't matter who gets elected because the consumers are rejecting the government push towards the EV models?
Well, that's not exactly what I am saying. It's a little bit more complicated than that. What I'm saying is that we have received loud and clear the message of affordability that the consumer is asking us to deliver on EVs. The sooner we get there, the faster we are going to ramp up. And the investments in EV technology are already done. What needs to be done now is the investments in the capacity for the volumes. So the investments in the capacity will be staged in function of the adoption by the consumers, and the adoption by the consumers is going to be a function of our ability to bring affordable vehicles to the market, which we are right now doing. And I think it's going to have a few bumps on the road. That's nothing specific or nothing surprising. It is going to be a bumpy road, and we will adapt the capacity investments to the adoption rate of the consumers, which is going to be the consequence of affordability. That's where we are.
Yeah.
And we are bringing a lot of proof points that we are achieving that, starting with the European market right now, but it will come very soon with the US.
Carlos, how difficult is it to compete right now with Chinese auto manufacturers who really have a leg up in providing affordable electric vehicles and are able to export some of those to Europe? Right now, there are gates in the US. Are those gates positive or negative for you at a time when you're a global car business?
Well, that's a great question. As we are a global car maker, and it was pointed out that we had a 14 plus one brand. The plus one is a Chinese brand, Leapmotor. So yes, we have 15 brands, and we are a global car maker. So as a racing team we need to recognize that being global means that we will not be protected everywhere. For instance, we are not protected in Latin America. We are not protected in Africa, Middle East. So as a racing team we need to confront ourselves with the harshest competition. Right now, the harshest competition is China, and they have a 30% cost competitive edge against us, ex-workspaces. And we are working hard to recover those 30% cost competitive handicap that we have. And it's good for a company like ours to be competing with the harshest competition. That keeps us awake, that keeps us alive, and we need to run fast and even faster to compete. Then when we come to protected markets, we have to realize that there are a lot of side effects and collateral damages to protected markets. And that protection that may be nice in the short term may have enormous disadvantages in the mid and long term. And that's why we do not advocate custom duties. We have to fight against the best. We have to make ourselves better in quality, in appeal, in cost. This is the way we can survive. And we used to say at Stellantis, the only thing that protects us is performance, and we deeply believe in that.
If that's the case, does that make it harder to keep a production base in places like Italy?
It makes us harder in the Western world, indeed. But in the Western world, we have more knowledge, more experience. We should use our education, our scientific education, our capability to work collectively to find paradigm breakers to compete. It is possible. the 23,000 euro mid-trim EC3 Citroën is made in Europe. Of course, in the lowest cost countries of Europe, but it's made in Europe. It's made inside of Europe.
As you know, sir, the reason I ask is because there are some Chinese producers looking for a manufacturing base in Italy. You, of course, have some production bases there. I wonder if you'd be interested in selling them.
Well, it's a public information that all the European governments are dating the Chinese car makers to come to assemble their vehicles in their countries. So all the European countries, Italy, France, Germany, Spain, they are all dating the Chinese. Fine, so that's a fact. So if you were to ask me, which is possibly your question, would I be willing to sell one of my plants to the Chinese? I would ask you back a question. What is the intention of the European Union if we are encouraged to sell our plants to the Chinese? What will be the sense and the purpose of inviting the automakers of Europe, which represent 14 million jobs, to hand over their plants to the Chinese? Does that make sense for the European citizen? Of course, it doesn't make any sense, which of course we know. So, of course, all business is business. We'll see what the future will bring, but we are here for the fight. We are here to demonstrate that we have more appealing brands, more exciting cars at the right level of affordability, with the right performance and the right safety. So we are going to fight. This is a competition. We love competition. And everything we do for Europe, because the market is much more open than US market, in terms of competitiveness of our technology, will benefit our American brands, because Stellantis is a global car maker and the technology is available for the 15 brands of the company. Anything we do to compete with the Chinese in Europe or in the rest of the world will benefit, of course, our US brands to bring affordability and performance as soon as we can to this market.
Carlos, you've been super generous with your time. I just want to return to my original question, though. The way you posed your response to that, the conversation that I would have with a policymaker for the good of the European economy and for the good of European labour is a very different one to the CEO of an auto manufacturer. You, of course, are accountable to the shareholder, and the stock is down by 9%, as you know, today. This is a difficult day for Stellantis. So when I ask you a question like, would you sell a production base in Italy to the Chinese? I'm not asking you that as a public official who needs to worry about the size of the European labour market. I'm asking you that as a CEO of Stellantis. Is that a good financial decision for you to make?
It depends if I am making profit out of that facility or not.
Well, you're under capacity there, aren't you?
I will make sure that we keep the capacity above 80% utilization rate. That's the threshold. As long as you are above 80%, you can do a good job.
And you're confident you will be for the next 12 months and beyond?
This is one of the things we have been discussing with the Italian government. They keep on asking us to have a 1 million car production, and I keep on answering that I need 1 million customers. The point is not about the production, the point is about the customers. Now, it is quite clear that if you have 1 million customers out there, and you have to break down the 1 million customers among a certain number of car makers, if you increase the number of car makers competing for the same 1 million customers, it is easy to understand that there will be less cars to be produced. And that is going to open the road to a new context. And in the new context, we'll see what are the decisions we need to make. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to something we know very well in the US. Make the customer happy, period. It starts there. Good quality, good appeal, good affordability, and then you will capture the share of the market that you deserve. And if you don't compete with the harshest competition, then forget it. On the long run, you are going to disappear. There is no other way than to compete with the harshest competition at any point in time.
Carlos, I can tell you this, I'd be very happy if there was a Maserati on my drive, okay? We can leave it there. Carlos, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. I could talk all day with you. Appreciate it. Carlos Tavares there, the Stellantis CEO.